Welcome to Co-op Mode, round 136. This is the official video game podcast of Secret Friends Unite. I am one of your hosts, Todd Oxtra, from beautiful Sauvage, Minnesota. It's April. It actually feels nice. I'm nursing a dog who has an injury and hopefully gets better. And man, I've never been traumatized by a dog giving me looks like, "Dad, why are you doing this to me? You've reduced
Oh,
me."
it's the worst.
And but I think I've fixed his trauma, and I think he's going to be okay. Mark,
Good. Good.
you're a tired guy tonight. You've been doing
I
parent
am.
duty since last night.
Yeah.
So we said we're going to commit to a shorter episode. So we've already got a was it a safe word? I guess we're calling it. If Todd goes too long.
I will try
So
not to use it, but we'll see if I have to use the safe word. Yeah, my little guy wasn't feeling the best last night. He's feeling great today with just whatever it was. It was just quick in and out, but yeah, it was a long night last night and back to work today. So I'm still excited to be here. Let's talk video games.
we are. Video games will keep us in a good mood, keep us energized, and we'll have a good time, folks. Well, we want to also start with thanking all of our awesome Patreons in our Secret Friends squad. And
Mhm.
folks, if you're not a member, you're listening to this with the ad version, try out the Patreon free trial. Ads are gone. You get exclusive content. You can try that for 7 days and get binge as much as you want, and then hopefully you'll stick around for more of the awesome content we've got coming.
Yeah.
So we're going to have some new things coming in this year. I'm cajoling a few things, a couple secret things for the Secret Friends. Hopefully that will be coming soon. And but before we do that, Mark, can you thank the fine people with our Patreons?
Absolutely. Yes, I have to thank our friends with benefits tier, including John Sedorf, the Phoenix Sisters cosplay, Brennan Myers, Matthew Keel, and Corey in HD, as well as our BFF tier, the amazing Nias family. That's Sean, Stella, and Henry Nias, and the incredible Missy Merchant. Thank you all so much for helping us out, helping make this happen, helping keep the lights on, and hoping you're enjoying the content.
Yeah, and you know what? If you don't have the money right now, no problem. Though we would appreciate sharing our content, giving us a review on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, podcasts now. Share, just tell people, hey, or hey, if you're interested in being on our podcast, let us know as well. We've had a lot of great guests frequently and recently, and we would love to have more along the way.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Mark, I think this is the segment that gets people really energized for our podcast, and that is buy, rent, return. Folks, it's very simple. We pick a topic, and you have to buy one, rent one, and return one, just like the good old days of Blockbuster. I did change the logo of the Blockbuster because it doesn't even exist anymore. So I put our co-op mode logo on this, not the one I have in my spreadsheet, but it's out there now. So I think that's appropriate. We're gonna, because what would make sense, Mark, for us to go into a brick and mortar store. I think that's our next thing.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. That's the
It's a win.
next. That's what we're saving up all the Patreon money. We're going to open up a brick and mortar co-op store.
I want to be
Makes sense.
a cashier jockey. I want to be one.
That's exactly it.
So this week, we've had some recent superhero gaming announcements that made me think of what are your favorite superhero game series? And we've had many from the early times with the old Batman game on the NES that was not really a Sunsoft game. That was kind of weird. We had a bad Spider-Man game on the Atari 2600. Superman's had a lot of bad games. But recently we've had some good ones. So I decided not to punish us with bad games. I picked some pristine series that I think are really great, and I think they will speak for themselves. Batman Batman Arkham series. If you think about it, there's 4 games in that series if you include Origins. Marvel Spider-Man. There are 3 if you include the Miles Morales spin-off. And then Marvel Ultimate Alliance, which we got 3 games. The last one was on the Switch. That was primarily on the 360 era. I think you can get the first 2 games on Xbox One and PS4. I think
Hmm.
they re-released them, I believe, and kind of did a minor coat of paint on, but not much. So
Hmm.
those are the series, Mark. So most of these are recent. Like these are like PS3, PS4, Xbox One, 360 era. And so with that, let's check in with our our Patreon members and our community members to see what they said.
We have a rare write in from a special someone who doesn't play video games. So I'm very curious. Do you want to take those two and then I'll take the other two? You start with
Sure.
with that special guest.
Yeah, the special guest is Charlie Carden, or C3 Carpenter on Threads to Instagram. You may know him as my co-host on SFU and Mark's co-host on Holocron Chronicles. He said that Ultimate Alliance is one I've actually played on the old Wii. Leave it to Charlie to play probably the worst version of that game. But
Yeah.
kudos to him because
It's a
that was
game
more
he
than just
played.
Legos
I'm giving him
battling.
props for it. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
He
Now
didn't
Charlie's
rent.
relegated.
He didn't
No,
return. That's it. I
it's
just
it. It's
still
just a
love that he actually
statement.
wrote in
I
and,
have played.
Charlie's in a video game podcast. That's the greatest for me. So
And Charlie has basically relegated himself. It's not a Lego game. He will watch the cutscenes if it's tied to like
yeah.
Star Wars or Star Trek video game or a superhero series. So kudos to him. Edward Varnell says buy Spider-Man 2, rent Batman Arkham, and return Ultimate Alliance. And that's a hard one for Ed because with the Switch having the most recent one exclusive, I'm surprised he took that path because he typically sticks
Yeah.
with Nintendo and finds the fun where others find the folly, I would say, with Edward.
Yeah, that's fair. And I these are all great series. So it's gonna like this is, you know, like just choosing the best of the best kind of thing. Like this is these are really three tough choices. You've done a great job here, Todd. I'm going to read these in reverse order because I'm basically going to steal one of the answers here. So I'll start with The Winter Gamer by Spider Man because he still hasn't played it, but it's twice the Spider Man. He still hasn't played Spider Man 2. But I think that series is going to be his buy. Rent the Arkham series because once you beat everyone up, you have to restart, and hunting those Riddler trophies with no combat in between can be really boring in the last one. Get it? Um, return Ultimate Alliance because I prefer more of a specific superhero and their powers versus having to balance a whole bunch. Totally get that. Totally valid stuff. Famous
Okay.
Seamus wrote in with an answer that basically I'm going to steal. So this is Famous Seamus and myself talking, but it's all Famous Seamus. I'm just stealing his. So buy Batman Arkham, the best superhero game series ever. Yep. The series that forever changed how melee combat is done in games, with a huge, fantastic cast led by the most iconic Batman and Joker, Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill. You can't beat that. Also, Arkham Origins, seriously underrated. I enjoyed Arkham Origins. It wasn't as good as the other ones, but I still enjoyed it. Totally valid everything there that Famous Seamus said. Rent, Marvel's Spider-Man. You know I have to say it. These games made you feel like Spider-Man. Definitely. Great gameplay, beautiful visuals, and some really well-written stories led by great performance by all the voice actors. 100%. They took what made Arkham work. They Spider-Manified it. That's right. I just said Spider-Manified it.
Armando fight it.
Uh, but yeah, 100%. Like the Spider-Man games are incredible. And then Return, Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Someone has to draw the short straw. That's it. I remember playing the first game when I was a teen, and this is how I learned about a lot of Marvel characters like Doctor Strange, the Inhumans, Namor, and more. Plus, did everyone else suddenly remember that we actually did get a third game on Switch? I did, and now I immediately
I
forgot it.
do.
I liked that game on Switch, and Nintendo made it happen. Like, give Nintendo some credit.
Yeah.
Uh, I thought it was good. I completely agree with this ordering. I think Ultimate Alliance here just drew the short straw. I think they could do more with this. I think, there's hopefully we'll see another thing, and hopefully we will see it on something that can push performance and graphics. I'd love to see Ultimate Alliance 4 hit everything, or just hit Xbox or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's stuff to do. I think Sony has enough platform specific superheroes that they can leave Ultimate Alliance alone. But um, I'd love to see another one. But like Seamus said, this one draws the short straw. So 100%, this is my ordering as well. Pretty darn close to my reasoning. Um, yeah, that's it. So Seamus, thanks for giving me my answer.
Excellent choices. I mean, there's really no wrong choice here. It's not like there's the bad sequel. It's like, or it's not like there's the Batman Forever, or no, sorry, Batman and Robin version of the game mixed in here. It's just
Yeah.
they're all good. And they all have positive qualities. So and this is where it's really two of these are very hard for me because
Yeah.
it's essentially Sophie's choice, which is just kind of sad. And I don't want to have recency bias, but I kind of do in a way. Um, Marvel Spider-Man is my buy because every game has only got better. And I love that.
Mm.
It didn't peak. I think what they did with Spider-Man 2018, Peter's story, mixing in Miles as not Spider-Man yet, and covering all the characters and telling one of the best Spider-Man games or Spider-Man stories of all time was amazing. And then coming back with Miles Morales, when I remember when the game was first coming up, like, oh, it's just a short little game. I'm like, no, that was a full-fledged game. Gave Miles the focus and really introduced his unique powers. Loved it to pieces. It had such a cool vibe, considering it focused more on Miles' world, developed his focused on his culture and the
Mm.
areas where he lived. And it was amazing. And it was cross-gen. It was the first cross-gen one we got where it was like on PS4 and PS5. And those load times, even though in Spider-Man, you don't want to fast travel because you want to just travel, but it did have those fast load times. Like, holy crap,
Mm.
what's a load screen anymore? That was amazing, and I just love the way it looked. I never played it on PS4, so I couldn't tell you if it was like you know day to night, but it was amazing.
Right.
And then the most recent Spider-Man 2, amazing game, and then bringing in two heroes together, telling those disparate storylines was amazing. So
Yeah.
it just to me is like, wow, it just every entry improved upon itself. My rent would be the Arkham series because in a lot of ways they're each a little different in what they do, and sometimes it's an improvement, sometimes it's I wish they'd done more of that. Like, people love Arkham because the first one, Arkham Asylum, because they truly felt it was a Metroidvania. It was more enclosed. It felt like you were really looking for that. Hey, how do I get there? I can do that, and it was just amazing. And that fighting combat
Mm.
was just phenomenal. Now, the weird Joker end battle at the end, a little goofy,
Yeah.
but I still loved it. Arkham City, when you blew up and you're in the city, that was amazing. Just gliding everywhere, the
Yeah.
side missions, the things you didn't have to do, but you could do. And if you did them, like, oh, that was amazing. You could do the Riddler trophies if you just wanted to stay in that world and do all that stuff. So, definitely a fantastic sequel. Origins, Mark, I played that on the Wii U.
Yeah, me
Um,
too.
and I loved it. It was great. You had the touchscreen and you played it. I loved it. I thought the performance was good.
Yep.
And I never played the DLC on the Wii U, so I bought it on PC. The DLC is fantastic. That's the best part of the game when you're going
Mm.
back in the penguin and you're doing all these extra things.
Yeah.
So that's a highlight, which I didn't think about it because I played the DLC in the other games and I felt like they were so, but I thought, I think part of the problem that game gets blamed because it did have some technical hiccups, but I
Mm.
think after time, it all got worked out, and it was a real, once again, I feel like it's right neck and neck with those three games doing something a little bit different, each of them. The Arkham Knight, I really liked a lot. I love the
Mm.
storytelling. I love what we got with all those things. The Tank, Batmobile, a lot of people that to me was it didn't kill me. It wasn't like, oh, the worst thing ever, but I did feel like
Mm.
it was very controversial, but still phenomenal series. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could.
And the
Yeah.
sad part is we don't know when we're getting another one.
Yeah. I mean, Suicide Squad's technically supposed to be the continuation of that world, right? which is so weird because it
That's what they
should have
say, Mark. That's what they
been,
say.
yeah, and it should have been, what's the other one?
Or
Arkham
Gotham Knights.
Gotham Knights. Like that seems
Yeah,
more like a spiritual successor, but they were like, no, there's a
should have
different
been.
universe, and the Suicide Squad's in this universe, but like really that's the legacy that we're leaving this series on? Like, no. Like
I
this
know.
is
I
that's it,
know.
right? It's
So
so,
frustrating
yeah,
because you
it is.
realize, like, well, even if they came back to it, it took them like 6 years to make Arkham Knight. And then if they even start a new game now, I mean, we're talking another 8 years until we get another Arkham game, which is just hurts my heart, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And it can be
Too
cool to
bad.
see them go back to something as contained as,
Yes.
Arkham Asylum. You can take Batman and stick him in a location or a situation where it is contained. He has to escape some catacombs that Raj Al Ghul put him in, or some sort of fight club underground something that Bane has him trapped in. Like there are so many things that you could write a Batman story around that does put him back in a contained environment that again does have some Metroidvania stuff, does have more of a just fitted story that has stuff in that's not as broad as a city or a full island or whatever, but distills down of a specific part of Batman that you
Yeah.
want to start going. But it's going to be tough to top this because like Seamus said, for me, when I read Batman comics, those are the voice actors that I hear in my brain. Is Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy, and with Kevin Conroy's passing, like that's done. So, and it's tough to replace. You could replace them with the best people, but they don't have the lineage of Batman the animated series behind them, which is what I grew up with. And then seeing this mature take on these characters, but with those same voice actors taking it to a different level. Um, it was just such a perfect game with perfect casting at a
Yeah.
perfect time, and you cannot, in my opinion, recapture that because you don't have that kind of history and that kind of lineage of these people working together and building off of each other and that familiarity with a new spin on it. It's just such a perfect storm that it's like, whew, man, you did like I don't know if you can capture that kind of lightning in a bottle again.
The answer, Mark, is Batman Beyond.
Yeah,
I think that
maybe.
works
Yeah,
because you could have somebody else come in as like an aging Bruce Wayne if you wanted to. There's other good
yeah,
voice actors out there where you could say at least okay. But yeah, I totally get it. I mean, uh, yeah, Conroy, we miss you, and this generation needs a Kevin Conroy to kind of come over and
mm,
take that role over and make it his own. We'll see
yeah.
how that goes. Um, Lastly, Return, Marvel Ultimate Alliance. First two games are amazing. I love them. They incorporate a lot of like the Ultimate Comic storylines. Those teaming up all those characters and what they did with the second game with having like those combination abilities, playing it online with others. The multiplayer aspect was amazing. I remember Sean Nias, he loved these series and we played it together and we just had a blast. It was so much fun. They had DLC and they were great and it was fun and you could just play with whatever you wanted to. The third entry, the Switch, and I'm assuming that's the only reason it got made was because Nintendo was like, we'll publish it, we'll pony up money with Team Ninja. I can't remember who made the first two games. That was an Activision published game. I can't remember who actually developed it, but they went
Okay.
with Team Ninja, I believe, Bandai Namco or some other team. And I loved the character designs. I think it's one of the better looking character design games.
Mm,
I just think it struggled with the Switch. Like I'd have camera issues, and I think the hardware. I wish the hardware was stronger for it. Maybe we'll get a updated version on Switch 2 or whatever we're going to call it. Maybe
Mhm.
a super virtual boy, maybe. Um, but I think it struggled also with the fact, Mark, it did my like cardinal sin of all of your heroes didn't level up as you played, and I
Oh, yeah.
hated that
Yeah.
because it's like if you want to try somebody else out, then like they start at 0 or 1, and it's like I'm not going to play this 18 times to level up everybody. So I felt like it was really disheartening. Like, oh, I got a roster I like that are powerful enough, but if I want to bring in my new favorite hero, I'm gonna grind.
Yeah.
That wasn't
Yeah.
satisfying to me. But I loved it. I mean, I liked what they did, and I liked the fact that they made it about incorporating the MCU with the Avengers. More of that story of like Thanos and the Black Guard. I'm trying to remember their
The
their names.
uh,
Thanos's team, the
yeah,
Black
name's completely escaping me.
something like that. But I thought it was cool. It was very synergistic, and I liked it.
Black
And
Order.
I own it. I actually
Let's
used one
call
of
it
my
Black
vouchers
Order.
for that game, so I
Yeah.
I probably should get back to it, but it was very frustrating. It kind of
Yeah.
annoyed me at times. But yeah, that's what I'm going to return. And I would, like I said, I would hope that we get a relaunch of that or X-Men Legends. Either of those would be
Mhm.
great to come back.
Yeah.
Well, very good. Thanks for the discussion, all. Appreciate your comments. But now we got to talk about what we've been gaming. Mark, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
got a new game on there. I want to hear your thoughts about this.
I do. Yeah. I finally got some game time to myself. I kind of reclaimed my Switch a little bit. This is one I've been waiting to play, and the biggest hiccup for me, the biggest holding point for me in getting this game was deciding which platform to get it on. Because I knew it would run better on Xbox Series X. I knew that the frame rate was high, it was locked. I knew that there were some visual effects. I wasn't too concerned about the visuals for most of it. It was mainly the fluidity. So that I've been playing Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Um, so I knew Xbox was going to be silky smooth. The best place to play it, I think, was going to be the Xbox Series X, as far as like performance and just. And you kind of want that in this kind of game. But I also knew that with Finn's new affinity for video games, with my own gaming time being a little limited, being able to play on the Switch in handheld, especially on the OLED, was going to be like kind of a saving grace for me actually finishing this game and really putting my time into it. So I downloaded the demo on Switch. There's no demo on Xbox. I really wish I could have compared them both before I
Oh,
played it,
really?
but I
I thought
couldn't
there was
find
a
a
demo.
demo
I
on
played it.
Xbox. I thought so too.
I I played a demo on maybe I played demo on PS5, but
Okay.
I remember
Maybe.
playing a demo. Yeah, weird.
Um, maybe they took it down. I don't know. I couldn't find it. Maybe I'm just dumb. I have no idea. I looked
Oh,
briefly for it. I couldn't see like a download demo button, so I was just like, screw it. Um, but I read a couple of reviews that said the Xbox version was like, the PC was like up here as far as like, the frame rates can do whatever you want, whatever. But they were like, so like the Xbox version was going to be silky smooth, really nice to look at, no HDR10, but like still look visually very, very pretty, blah, blah, blah. So when I knew that, I was like, you know what? I'm going to play it on Switch. I'm going to see how the timing is because I knew there were some like timed quick time kind of moves or something
yeah.
like, flash yellow, flash red, no to attack, no to block, no to parry, no to
Parry.
dodge,
Those
blah, blah,
parry
blah.
timing. Yeah.
Parry timing is always super crucial. And if the frame rate hiccups, if there's some slowdown or whatever because of hardware, that's a no-go for me. I need my games to be silky smooth, like Celeste and that kind of stuff, or like something that, if the Switch isn't going to keep up, count me out for a game like this. Uh, I loved the demo for this game. Absolutely loved it on Switch. Knew right away, this is where I'm going to play this game. And it was on sale. So realistically, like I have been loving this game so much that down the road, if it goes on sale again or even drops a little bit lower, I might not be opposed to picking it up on Xbox and seeing what the performance does. But for right now, I've been playing on Switch and I absolutely love it. Um, this is kind of a reimagining, I guess, of the series. You're part of this team of immortals. That's what they call themselves. I don't think they actually are immortal, but some
Yeah,
stuff
they're like
happens
a
that
team of
maybe they
heroes,
are.
almost like,
Yeah,
demigods. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, the prince, something happens. You have to go on a rescue mission with your team, and I don't want to give away any story spoilers because the story is way better than I anticipated it to be.
Yep.
Holy crap! There's some twists and turns. I thought this was going to be a bolted on story for a really cool platformer, kind of, minor bits of time travel or different time powers and that kind of stuff. I didn't expect the story to have twists and turns. I audibly gasped at one point, and my wife was playing next to me. She was playing on Xbox, and I was playing on my Switch and handheld. And she just like paused hers and looked at me like, "Did you just like clutch the pearls gasp?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Like I did. It was like a my heavens. But it is like that kind of surprise, and maybe it's not like the most surprising story ever, but I didn't expect it from this game for some stupid reason. I just expected, like I said, a very straightforward, um, the prince is in another castle, keep going, oh, the bad guys took him to the next level, I guess you'll have to figure out how to platform your way up there and fight some zombies and snakes or whatever. I straight up, that's what I anticipated for this. I expected some cool movement, some cool puzzle solving, a little bit of combat, some parrying and dodging and whatever. But like, I'm in the story now, and I'm loving it. It's so good. But like I said,
And
you need, what was that?
I was gonna say, did you see all of the roadmap content they're gonna give away for free in this
Yeah,
game too?
yeah.
That's impressive.
Super good time to invest. It's 40% off. I think that sale's still going on. Hopefully it
Yep.
is by the time you listen. This is not an April Fool's joke. Go check this game out. It is amazing. I am sad that I've skipped this one up until this point, but 40% off is 40% off, and that's great. Um, Holy crap, though. It is so good. And I am very
It's
happy
longer
to
than you'll
say,
expect, though, Mark. That's what I will say. It is a
yeah,
very long game, so
yeah,
you'll get your fill of content.
I'm probably about, I'm gonna guess 8 to 9 hours into it at this point, and it,
It's probably about
like,
25
yeah, I was
plus
just gonna say
hours.
it, like,
Yeah.
there's a big twist that just happened not that long ago that I'm
Yeah.
like, like you play for a bunch of hours before you even realize what's really going on in the story. Um, it is impressive. And like you said, there's a roadmap. March, like this month, there's the Warriors Path DLC. Spring of 24. At some point, there's a boss attack mode. Um, Summer
New
Divine
outfits.
Trials. What was that?
New outfits.
New outfits. Oh yeah, new outfits and stuff coming along with each of these. But like the main bits are. And then permadeath mode. That's going to be pretty. I think that's out now,
What?
isn't it? That might be out now.
Because it's not hard
Um,
enough.
yeah, oh yeah. Like it's people are going to do that though. Like this is one of those kind of games that,
Yeah.
um, it's reminding me of Celeste,
Yeah.
because I could probably have turned down the difficulty at a couple of points in this game, but I've chosen not to because for
Yeah.
whatever reason, it's really clicking for me. It's really got
Yeah.
those kind of Celeste claws dug into me where I'm like, no, I can get that this time. No, I can do that this
The
time. There was one
difficulty
boss.
the difficulty modifiers, Mark, in this are excellent, which I love.
They
The
really
fact
are.
that they like, oh, if you don't like platforming but you like the boss thing, there'll be a portal, so it goes one side to the other side, which I'm like, that's
Yeah.
cool. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really well thought out, really accessible. Um, I'm just kind of playing on one of the basic difficulty settings, one of the normal kind of like just pick them and go. And the challenge is great, and it's very rewarding because, like I said, it's got that Celeste kind of vibe of like now one more time, I can do this. I can do this. Um, and it's from platforming to bosses to whatever. It's so good. Um, so I can't wait to put more time into this game.
Um, I know what you mean, man. It's gonna be really cool. That you'll love it. I enjoyed it. It's one of my favorite games of this year. So yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see how you do, and then the story mode content is coming out as well. So I think that's pay though. So I guess we'll see.
Hmm. I could talk about the last game. I've been just playing a little bit of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge on Switch. My son found a few of my old Ninja Turtle toys. Um, we showed him some of the like more simple cartoons, and he is loving Ninja Turtles, all things Ninja Turtles. He wants to play the game with both my wife and I. Luckily, it is multiplayer game, and I got the DLC now. This game's so good. But again, it's one of those things that the characters that you don't play do not get leveled up. In this game, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter as much as
No.
something like Ultimate Alliance, but it is funny to go and see like characters at 0 and other characters like double digit
Oh, yeah.
experience or whatever it is. Um, but it's so great because he can just kind of like run around or button mash or just jump up and down. Or like at one point there is a boss battle and he's like standing in the corner, just like, hey, look, when I leave him go, he like spins his swords around. I'm like, please punch Bebop so we can finish this. But it's
They do
you know
know.
like it's fun. It's a good time. So that's the really all I've been playing. He's also been playing Yoshi Crafted World and very much enjoying that. Very colorful. Um, some of the co-op mode stuff in that game is like, why would you do that? Like, there's one thing where if you accidentally jump on the Yoshi, they can steal all your eggs, and he's really bad for stealing all my eggs, but then when he gets the eggs he doesn't like shooting them, so I'm like, please shoot the thing so we can just 100% this level. They're like, hey, look, there's a flower, we got to collect all the flowers, there's a flower right there, can you shoot it because you just stole all my eggs? And he's like, no, I don't want to get rid of any of my eggs. And I'm like, please just give me one egg then. And he's like, no, this is my egg. And it's just it's the definition of playing with a 3-year-old, and I just have to accept that and move on and not 100% each level as I go through them, and that's something I got to deal with. So then I wait till he's gone to bed and I go stab things in Prince of Persia. So that's been my my gaming
It's
experience the last couple
amazing.
of weeks. um
Yeah.
yeah,
I was gonna say Shredder's Revenge. It's free on Netflix, the whole game.
yeah,
If you have through your App Store, which is great if you play it there. I'm not sure if it's on Apple Arcade, but I played it with my Game Sir,
but you
and it's
can still get
amazing.
the
I
Netflix
love
games
that.
on yeah, you can get the
Do they have it
Netflix
on
games
iOS now?
on iOS. Yep.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, because 'cause they've
But
got
it's
some great
not.
ones. And I know, didn't there's a few that came recently that are pretty high profile, which is great.
Yeah.
And you got a kid, and they play locally. They're not just streaming, which is
Yeah,
great too.
yeah. It's really cool. There is a Ninja Turtle game on Apple Arcade, and I can't remember what it's called.
Oh,
Um,
that one's like the roguelite, or it's like a yeah, that one's a different version, which I thought was interesting.
mhm. And it
Don't worry,
reminds me
Mark.
of Ultimate Alliance actually, with that kind of like
Yeah.
isometric view and that kind of stuff. Can't remember what that's called. That's been out for a while. Anyway, what have you been playing?
Has he seen Mutant Mayhem, or have you watched it yet?
He didn't really have an interest in that. We watched something on
So good.
Paramount Plus. Of It was very kiddie focused. It's like the turtles go back in time to like dinosaur times. It was very aimed at his
Okay.
age group, right? Like I think
Okay.
Mutant Mayhem's a little bit older, a little bit more
Sure.
like dirty, grungy kind of like animation
Yeah.
style
Hip.
and that kind
Yeah.
of thing. And it wasn't something that caught him right away. So I'm starting him slow. He watched that one, and then he just saw a clip from one of the shows, but I was really into that clip because it was they like went through a portal or something like that and went back to like the old 80s 90s ninja. It was
Yeah.
like a
It was a
crossover
crossover.
kind of
Remember, it had
thing.
like different
Yeah,
animation styles, right? Yeah, that
yeah,
was cool.
they
Yeah.
even jumped into
Yeah.
the comic books and stuff. He
Yeah.
was just like, he was scrolling through YouTube and he wanted to watch a few like Nintendo videos and stuff. And then he saw this one. He's like, "Oh, there's Ninja Turtles." And I was like, "Let's check this out because it looks like a cool crossover." So he's slowly getting up there, but for right now, it's like the really, really kiddie focused Ninja Turtle stuff.
Okay. Well, it'll grow with him because the Logan was the same way. When he watched that one CGI animated TMNT on Nickelodeon that he loved to pieces, and that one was a
Yeah.
little bit more not mature, but Logan liked it because it had the storytelling that got really cool. So
Mm.
that is awesome. Everybody, there's like the Turtles and Power Rangers. They like just always doing something new.
For every
You'll always have
generation.
them.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So for myself, I finally finished Banishers, which if you look behind me, those are the two main characters. Great game. I've talked about it
Awesome.
before, but really is a game where I think and the developers of it don't not is amazing. They've done a lot of cool like character building games, and I'm so glad to hear the company said it's done well, which I was worried
Mm.
because this year there's been so many games that it could get obscured. And it's a game
Yeah.
where I feel like if you like mystery solving and the supernatural, you'll love this game. The combat is okay. It's not that's not where you come to this game for. It's basically
Mm.
you find out someone's being haunted and you don't know why. And it's really to discover why they're being haunted and how it comes together, investigating and uncovering. And there's a main quest which you could straight line, but it's still a long game, like 20, I think it was 28 hours for me to finish it. But I could play it for another 15 doing more haunting missions if I wanted to.
Mm.
I will say you don't come for the combat, but the combat's pretty good. I think that's something that I would have wanted more variety in the combat. There was a skill tree, but I felt at times I'm like I couldn't unlock things and I didn't feel like the reward was enough. But I did like the fact that you could trade off between the two characters and do combat, which I really enjoyed. And you could reduce difficulty as you needed to if you just wanted the story. You could do it that way. So great game. I would love to see them do more with this. I just don't know how they will, at least with these characters. But it would be cool if they did. But I love the storytelling. It's beautiful, beautiful relationship storytelling. So, I think if you wanted to, if you had somebody like you say, hey, I want to show you a quality story that's super. Like my wife was just interested in the story and she
Yeah.
watched it. So that's kudos to her that this happened. So, and I think this game came out in February. So I'm assuming you'll be able to get in a deal soon. Maybe wait for that, but definitely worth it. Or I wish it would just come to Game Pass or PS Plus.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like one of those kind of games, which is weird to say, but it's one of those games like you said you're scared people would, or have missed this or would pass it over. This is one of those games for me that I have to be reminded that it's out because I
Yeah,
remember the trailer and I remember thinking, "Damn, that looks really cool." And then you
yeah.
just said that you played it, and I'm like, "Isn't that game coming out in this summer or something? Like that game's out already? How did you finish it? What the heck's going on here, Todd?" So it's one of those games that I instantly missed, and that's why I love talking to you and jumping in our Discord and being like, "Oh shoot, right, that's not a Yoshi game that my son's obsessed with. This is a mature game that is out right now, and I have lost track of time yet again." So that's awesome. I gotta check this one out. I might wait for a sale. I
Yeah.
might wait for a Game Pass or some kind of service or a sale or something. But it's definitely one I want to check out because it looks super interesting.
And I will say there's essentially a path you go down, and it is a game with choices, and they do impact the ending. So I went
Mm.
down one path. It's kind of like Paragon versus, Renegade and Mass Effect. It kind of has that
Mm.
resonance because
Okay.
the decisions you make will choose the path for someone. So I
Mm.
may just watch the YouTube version of like the other version because I
Yeah.
think that could be really cool to see how it impacted the gameplay. What did it mean for the game? So it's I
Interesting.
love those. I love those games where they make you make choices and you don't always know how it's going to pan out. So yeah, check out
I love
Banishers.
that. Sometimes
Pretty
I get
cool.
paralyzed by that though. If
Oh
especially if it
yes,
happens early on and I'm like, if this was the wrong decision, do I have to play another 40 hours of this game? And do I like the game enough to play another 40 hours of this game just to see a mildly different ending or a couple of slightly changed things, or even if everything changes and then it's like, oh shit, this is basically two games and this is a fork in the road at 3 hours in that will affect the next 50 hours of gameplay, and it's like, oh, I am instantly paralyzed. Great, thank you. Um, that's something. But it's good to hear that you can just make the choice and go. And yeah, I'm always curious with how those ones end up.
Well, I will say there's no like it at the beginning you kind of have to take a path. And
Mm.
then but the game like halfway through allows you to kind of change your mind, which
Mm.
I thought was cool because it's like, okay, you played enough of it now, you just understand. It's like when you choose a class at the beginning of a game, like, oh, that was the worst choice I ever
Yeah.
made. And then it's like it's too late. But this is good. I like the fact that it allowed you to do that. But
Good.
then I kind of came from the game. Now, I would say if you are like, do you really get into the game and like would you play it as like you are that person, or you're like, hey, I always want to play the game as a good guy and that's what I'm going to do. That's kinda what
Right.
I did, but
Right.
I
Okay.
put myself if I put myself in the guy's position, I probably would have made a completely different choice,
Mm.
which I liked.
Interesting.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. So, I
Interesting.
would say watch a trailer for this game if you are curious to see what it's all about, and I think that will either say it's for me or it's not. But
Yeah.
there is hitting things and smashing zombies and things like that, which may make it worth your while. Um, yeah, so that's a recent game I beat, which is great. Um, the game I played, there's one demo out that I did play. I wanted to play another demo, which is Sandland, which looks really cool. It's an Akira Toriyama based game. He just passed away, one of
Mm.
the creators of Dragon Ball Z, and this is a new series. There's an anime for it. Looks really cool, and it's action adventure. Very cool. I didn't play that yet, but I probably will because that game comes out in April. But another demo that came out for a game that's coming out in April is a PlayStation exclusive. It's a Korean game and it's called Stellar Blade. And it's funny because I've talked to other people and they've dubbed this game Stellar Boobs or Bosom Blade.
Jeez. My
And I
God.
almost put a background but behind me because if you look at this game, Mark, and some of the scenes, it's like gaming hasn't matured as much as I hoped it would. It
I'm
is
looking at a couple of
definitely
screenshots now. It's very Bayonetta-esque.
oh, it even goes, like, harder than Bayonetta at times because it's
Oh,
like
okay.
at least Bayonetta had a lot of, like, resonance as a character. She embraced her sexuality. She
Mm.
knew what she was. This character feels like I don't know. It just feels like this is a you knew a guy was behind this, and it had a
Mm.
guy's sensibilities, which is just kinda sad. And this game is I'd recommend anybody check out the demo on PlayStation 5 if you want to. This is a Sony published game. But it's not by Sony Studios. It's essentially a um, Devil May Cry action game. Uh, yeah, that's the best way to put it. A lot of combat. There are some decisions. There's a lot of like powering up, leveling things up. You have a companion with you who's like a robot, but essentially you're an army of these sexy ladies that are taking down creatures on when you arrive on the planet Earth. As you're arriving in these like space blimps, they're all getting shot to hell. It's like holy crap. So these women go in these pods and they have to come down and not many of them survive. It's like a crew that goes in. But Mark, um, the rest of the crew is kind of like wearing bodysuits and like they're badasses with melee weapons, primarily, and you're taking on these weird creatures. The main character is like wearing like this weird sexy outfit with like a lady tie. And it's
Okay.
like
Yeah. Makes
I'm
sense.
completely drawn out of it at that point. It's very gory. The combat is kind of that slash and hack and slash and power up and melee and
Yeah.
parry. And I'm like, okay, maybe I can find the fun in that, like a Bayonetta, where it's like, you're not coming for the story, you're just coming for
Yeah.
the fun. I absolutely hated the combat. I always judge a good action combat game, a stylish game, by how you move and how you strike and the complexity of your melee system and like Devil May Cry and Bayonetta. I feel like it's just so much fun and you choose how stylishly you kill everyone and you can team it. This game I didn't feel like that was apparent. I felt like the jump which I want when I jump in those games, I want to feel like I'm jumping, doing flips and doing things side to side, coming in, parry, doing that type of thing.
Mhm.
This felt very stiff.
Mm.
And
Not what you want from this
yeah,
kind
it
of
had
game.
no, and I'm like, wow, it just felt like it was a complete miss. This
Mm.
game is getting a lot of attention for its visuals, which it's a pretty game, but it didn't strike me as like, oh wow, this is amazing. I don't feel like this is something that PlayStation should be proud of having as an exclusive and to put
Yeah,
their hat on it.
not
And this
sounding
is not
like
a
it.
great year for PlayStation. So
Yeah.
the fact that this is one of their big hitters, ooh, I am just definitely not gonna. I was in my GameFly queue. I removed it promptly, and
Ouch.
I will
Wow.
wait to watch the reviews. It's for some people. Some people are saying like this is the best thing. Everything is gonna be, but I'm like, I think there may be ulterior motives.
Yeah. Yeah,
If you catch my drift, Mark.
I do.
Um, there you go. And then I'm gonna continue the unfortunate, not so enthusiastic train on Dragon's Dogma 2.
Oh,
Got it
sure.
from GameFly. I believe I did play the original Dragon's Dogma, and there was a Risen, which was kind of like a pseudo expansion sequel back in like the early 2010s. And it's a weird Capcom action RPG where one of the big I guess focuses is you could pick people up and throw them, and you'd and they could jump on your shoulders, and you could grab onto people or enemies and attack them. That was like their big thing. Like you
Mm.
can grab onto things. So that's I guess a big thing. But it also had this pawn system, which is a really cool idea. And the fact that essentially you're this person called an arisen, you create your own character. I chose to be a Lion Man. I can't remember what I gave my name. I gave myself a really ridiculous name. But essentially you walk in and you're basically a slave or like a indentured servant. You're working in a mine. You then like you have to show that you can lift a rock and bring it up to something, and that shows you're doing a good job. And all of a sudden, a Medusa comes in, Mark, and you got to take on the Medusa. And you want to kill the Medusa, but you can't kill the Medusa, and she escapes. And then someone tells you, "Oh, you die. The Medusa took your heart." Or no, the dragon. That's what it is. I'm getting my mythology messed up because it's such an intricate story, Mark, that all of a sudden a dragon shows up and
Oh,
he
yeah.
goes into your heart, pulls out your heart and looks at it and he licks it and goes, "You are the risen now," and he flies away. And I'm the risen, Mark. Like literally like
Congratulations.
exactly now what the risen is, don't know. But everybody starts referring you to as the
You're
risen, and
it.
then these people come up to you and says, "I want to be your pawn. I do not. I have nothing more in my life but to be your pawn because you're the arisen." I'm like,
Yeah.
great. What are we doing? I don't know. Let's go to a village. We're at a village, Mark. I've got a pawn now. And
Of
I've
course you do.
ran into some goblins, and these goblins are little jerk offs that come up and just jump at you. You got to take them on. The action combat is decent, and the pawns are basically different, like character classes, like a magic user, an archer, a thief, and I was basically a warrior. So you do have that, but it says don't worry about your class, you can change it later. But I love the one comment they make, basically, don't trust autosaves. That's what the game tells you. Like autosaves may not work, so you better save the game. I know it's so weird. I'm
Make
like,
them work.
I
Like,
know.
you
So I'm
made
like,
the
shit. Now
game.
I'm afraid. Now I'm feared for my save state, Mark. Like I'm
Yeah.
gonna end up at a boss, and it's like, oh, go back 5 hours because you didn't save. I'm like,
Oh my
oh,
gosh.
good. So, and then you can get more pawns. So I think I had 3 pawns. You can always have at a time, and they will just go get stuff for you, which is kind of nice. Like, oh, we'll go get the chest for you. Great, awesome. But one of my pet peeves, the character, even though you select when you're doing the character selection, you can pick a voice. You do not have a voice in this game. You do not comment. You don't talk at all. They're basically talking at you.
Hmm.
And there's really no decisions to be had. You just select missions and go after them. There's like no like complexity. It's not really like a role-playing game. It's only role-playing game the fact that you're editing up your character, but it's not like you're making decisions and the world's impacted. It's not one of those games. But the big thing about this game, it is about immersive gameplay. It's
Hmm.
essentially you can ride a griffin, and that griffin could be like shot down from the sky, and you could end up falling and dying. And that's
Mm,
the way it works. Or you're on a trolley with all your whole crew, same thing, gets shot down, you fall down, you might survive, and maybe your pawns died.
mm.
So that's kind of cool. And there was somebody did took a clip online of like a big uh, troll, I guess. I don't know what it was, maybe a golem or something, really huge. And there was like a gorge, and out of the blue, you end up like distracting the goblin. You hit it really once, and it falls over the gorge, and you essentially have a way to pass, like just to cross it, like a bridge.
That's hilarious.
And then if you want to screw people, you hit the goblin or the thing, the big monster, and then he falls in the gorge so that they can't cross. So it's moments like
Wow.
that.
Okay. Yeah.
That's really what this game is all
See the
about. It's the
appeal.
emergent
Yeah.
gameplay. So despite every kind of thing I've said, the story ain't great. It's kind of wooden, kind of looks like a early PS4 game. Um, yeah, I don't think people are coming to the yard for that. I think they're coming for more like, hey, I can just have a kick-ass time killing things,
Mm.
and something weird and wacky may happen, and enjoy.
Okay.
So but I'm gonna give it another try. I did put
Mm.
this out on threads of like, when do you know a game isn't for you? And somebody put out a point out like, find out how long the game typically is and like how long to beat, and do like 10%. Like, you know
Yeah.
what? That's not a bad. Like this makes this is like a 40-hour game. Play 4 hours. I'm like, okay,
Right.
I'll play another 2 hours.
It seems like that's a pretty common, like, I'm looking at like the Steam review is like 6 out of 10. The Google review thing, whatever it is, like 58% of people liked this game. Like it seems very just kind of like middling. Either I totally got it, bought into this idea,
Yeah,
or like I have tried this for a couple of hours and I'm ready to dip. I see what you're doing, but nah, not for me. Like it seems like that's from a very, very quick perusal. It seems like you're right on with how a lot of people are feeling about this.
and that's fine. Like I said, I just got to get out of this FOMO where, oh, I'm missing out, and
Right.
thank God for
Yeah.
GameFly, because I don't feel like I'm wasting $60 and I'm trapped because I like spent all this money. So
Yeah.
I will give it another try, and then there's other games coming out in April I'm very excited for. So
Nice.
we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been gaming, folks. So hopefully, if you have thoughts on any of those games, let me know. But if this doesn't work, I'll get back to Cyberpunk because that's a game I really love.
There you go. That's it.
There we go.
There's
So
never nothing to play. That's the great thing is
no, no.
you can always like me going back to Ninja Turtles. There's always something new or something old to get into.
Something blue. All right, it's time for the bonus round.
Woo.
And Mark, we kind of this is going to be like a two-headed beast because I
Okay.
think we're gonna do something really quick because we are recording on April Fool's Day.
Yeah.
It's the day you do not want to have real news come out because no one will believe you.
Yep.
So we decided. I think we're each going to talk about a couple of our favorite April Fool's Day jokes, just to kind of get everybody in that mindset of what April Fool's means to them. And we're much more savvy than we were back in the good old days of the early internet. So,
Hmm.
because now it's like, people know and they can smell it a mile away. So, Mark, starting with yourself, do you have a favorite April Fool's gaming event or news story?
This so not from ever, like this can go back of
Yeah, yeah.
all
Any,
time.
even if it was this year or another year.
Yeah, I've got to give it to IGN's live action Zelda trailer from years ago. That
So
one just stands out as an all time great. They thought about that for a long ass time. That took foresight. That took a lot of production value. Like it looked good. You kind of like started to pick up the like this is probably you know funky, but like you stuck around the whole time because you were like, damn, they really like put some stuff into this. So that one, absolutely all time great, like Hall of Fame, going hard for Valentine's or for April Fool's Day. Um, I love that one.
yeah, that one's a really good one. this year actually had one of my favorites, so I'll share this one. Um, CD Projekt Red put out Cyberpunk 2077 is getting a limited time floppy edition that comes with 97,619 3.5-inch diskettes. I mean,
I love that.
yeah,
I love it.
of course.
Uh,
Of
Is that
course.
the math that it would
Oh,
take to actually fit that game? Because
yeah,
that is great. If that's actually like what it would like, did someone do the math on that one?
they had to. They had to, Mark. I mean, and at that point, it's like, I don't even know how to imagine what 97,000 is. That like 18 pallets? I mean, they're
They're pretty, yeah,
huge.
but yeah, like that's a lot.
I mean, that's a lot of
That's
weight.
yeah.
And
That's
just imagine
every
if one of the discs was damaged. Like you're on disc 14,000 of the 97,000. What do you do?
that's it. That's
And then
so
if the game
good. I
needs to be
love that one.
patched, Mark, do they send you like another 800 discs?
That's exactly right. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. You do not want to see some of the bigger DLC packs. Um,
Oh, no.
that is an all-time great for sure. That's a good one. That's a good one. Especially if someone actually did the math. And I'd love to double check that. Like what is the install? What is the total like capacity of a
Yes.
3.5-inch diskette?
1.44 megabytes.
Okay. And what's the install? 70 gigabytes, I think. Probably a safe bet.
Yeah, sure. I don't think they specifically said it, but I can see. Look at that, like, and I'm assuming that's just the base game. Install size Cyberpunk. We're doing math on the fly, folks.
Yeah.
This is exciting.
Yeah.
If you're at home, break out your slide rules
Yeah.
and have a good time. 60 to 75 gigabytes. It's weird when they give you a range.
Okay.
Just say 75 gigabytes.
75. Okay. Yeah, I I don't even know. Like I'm gonna double check that
You'll need
later
a
when I'm awake.
spreadsheet.
That's it. I love that. I do that every once in a while. Not even for for April Fools. I don't know why I keep saying Valentine's Day. I'm looking at like a pink heart there over behind my computer that my son was playing with. Um, I like doing that even when it's not April Fools at work. Someone will ask how much horsepower a vehicle has. I work at a car dealership, and I'll say it has 500 horsepower, but it has 120,000 duck power, um, which I think is more impressive.
How about a Chihuahua power?
I don't know
I
that
mean,
conversion rate. I actually do know the conversion
because
rate of ducks
people,
to
I pretty
horses.
much because ducks. I mean, when you think ducks, is that the flying rate or is it the like the waddling rate, Mark? I mean, come on.
You know what? I'm not really sure.
See, there you go. So you need like people know what a Chihuahua looks like when they run because they have those Chihuahua races. Like I live near a racetrack.
Yeah.
They do like the Chihuahua races or the Dachshund races. So we know what that looks like. The duck rate, though, that's a
Yeah.
little controversial.
Well, it's
You have to
the
change to
general rule is 131.2 ducks for one horse. So whatever
how
your
about
vehicle
moose?
is,
Mark, you're Canadian.
moose would probably be a lot
Is
stronger
it
than a
like
horse. So
double?
then you're
Is
no,
it like
you're
double? You think a double? Like is a moose twice a horse?
oh, I'd say easy. Yeah, moose are
Okay.
terrifying. They're amazing, but
Okay.
they're just tanks. They're walking friggin'
Okay.
tanks but on tree trunk legs. So that one's not as impressive because like you want your
It's
horsepower
gonna
to
be
be
lower.
higher,
Yeah.
right? So like you take a
Yeah.
500 horsepower Mustang and then you suddenly say like this is 250 moose power or like 100 moose power, and it's just like why you do? But you take a 500 horsepower and multiply that by 131.2 and then you have 65,600 duck power, and it's like you can't compete with 65,000 ducks. You can't do it. So there we go.
I I I love the way your brain works.
Thank
There
you.
we go.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I was gonna give you another one that was fun. So they had an Elden Ring expansion, and it was simply a graphic of Elden Ring expansion getting bigger.
I
Very simple. I love it. It's
like that.
like, yep,
That.
yep, I'm
You,
in it. I'm in it.
you know what breaks my brain though, speaking about how my brain works, is an average
Yes.
horse has 15
Yes.
horsepower. Yeah. Let that one keep you up at night. I'm sorry for every listener that just
So
had to hear that.
there's 15 tiny horses inside a horse.
I don't even know how it works, but an average maximum horsepower is about like 15 horsepowers.
Is a donkey like
I
half a
don't
horse?
understand it.
Because
I
you
don't
get
understand
donkey
it.
ass power. You could do ass power, Mark, and then it's just a donkey is an S.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I just, it's, things are confusing and nothing makes sense and we make up everything. So there we go. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
D. What is it? You could do like come up with a like an acronym for it, so they think it's real,
Yeah.
and
Pretty
you don't
much.
have to tell them it's duck
That's it.
power. You could just say it's like a DPH ducks per mile, DPM, DPK because
Yeah.
ducks per kilometer.
Kilometer. Yeah. Yeah. You got to do that conversion too, for
Yep,
the Canadian ducks. I
yep,
wonder what goose power. Goose power would definitely be like probably
that's
double or
true.
triple a duck, maybe even
Gotta be
four
double,
times a
yeah,
duck.
and ducks are meaner, so they're kinda a little bit more adrenaline.
Ducks are
Or
meaner than
geese are
geese. Have you ever
geese are
met?
no,
Yeah.
no, no, that's what I
Oh,
meant, geese
yeah.
are meaner.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
was gonna say, have
and
you
they'll
ever met
bite
a
you.
goose?
Oh, no,
Geese
they're
are
hiss, they're
nuts.
horrible like
Geese are
swans. I
insane.
mean,
Oh yeah, swans are
beautiful to
crazy.
deadly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly, yeah.
this video game podcast has gone off the rails completely. April Fools,
Hey,
everyone. You thought this was about video games? It's about fowl,
play Untitled Goose Game.
waterfowl. That's
Yeah,
yes to that.
play Untitled Goose Game, it's on PS Plus right now. That's what we came around to. That was our recommendation. That's what I'm gonna play, Mark. I'm gonna play Untitled Goose Game instead of
Do it.
Dragon's Dogma.
I go back and play. I've played Untitled Goose Game. I always go back and play Donut County. That is like a
Ah,
comfort game to me. I just play
oh,
that and
yeah.
I'm like, I got to roll through this story. I got to enjoy the silliness. Speaking of silliness, I have to give a shout out before we move on to Virtual Boy Pro, another great IGN
Yes.
April Fool's thing. The Switch dock, the virtual reality set. Simple, fantastic Virtual Boy Pro. I like it.
I love it. I
It's
love it.
good stuff.
Oh, by the way, Mark, there is an emulator for Virtual Boy for Quest.
Ooh, interesting.
Yes, so you can actually play it in a 3D space versus yeah. So check that out eventually. I would say for my like game I go back to, and this is a sidebar, Bloodroots. If you've not
Mm,
played Bloodroots, it's one of the coolest fun games in the world. It's so wacky. You're like a savage pioneer man, and you're like beating up things on a barrel. You can beat them up with carrots, and it's about basically just getting through a level. So much fun, Mark. You would love it. I think it's on
nice.
Switch. Definitely
Okay.
play Bloodroots. Okay, so that is the fun part of this game. The real difficult part is the fact that we are now going to talk about what superhero games we want. Marvel 1943 got a trailer from Unreal
Great
Engine,
trailer.
their new renovation. We got Marvel Rivals. So, Mark, both these games are interesting. Marvel 1943 is kind of like your standard Sony type of, but it's not by Sony. This is a different studio. Amy Hennig's doing
Yeah.
it. And then we got Marvel Rivals, which is essentially Overwatch Marvel, which is
Yeah.
going to be free to play on PC
PC.
coming out very soon. So, basis these two games kind of both came out of the blue and kind of showing their cards. And what's your thoughts on these games?
I'm sad that that one's just that Rivals is just PC right now. Like it looks kind of badass. I'm not really into hero shooters, but like a Marvel hero shooter, kind of like a Marvel card game, might be the twist, might be the little thing that gets me into it. So we'll see if eventually I go the PC route or something like that, or if this comes to consoles, which I'm sure at some point it has to.
It
All right.
will, yeah.
Um, Marvel 1943, however, looks incredible. Cap, Black Panther, a third unnamed so far super soldier on the
Hmm.
loose in 1943. This looks amazing. I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't either. The way that people look, the person playing basically T'Challa's father is
Yeah.
the actor from The Walking Dead. He plays, I can't remember his name. He's the king of the kingdom, and he's got a tiger. He's awesome, and
Mhm.
everybody looks great. And he actually looks like Wyatt Russell, the Captain American. This kind of looks like
A little
Wyatt
closer.
Russell too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then we've got a soldier with Cap, and then we've got I think a Dorja Malai,
Hmm.
basically undercover with the king. I'm thinking, Mark, the super soldier is the Red Skull. That's what I'm thinking.
Red Skull could be I mean, has he lost Bucky yet? Like, he's got another soldier with him. Like, this could be he
Um,
lost Bucky, and there's another. They've already turned him into a soldier.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I mean, there's a Marvel comic book called, I believe, Truth, and it was about Elijah Bradley, but I believe that was a little bit later, but that would be
yeah,
kinda
but,
cool if,
Elijah
like,
Bradley
we find
doesn't
out,
usually
like
come till
yeah,
Vietnam kind of thing,
th
and
yeah,
yeah,
it's later, and yeah, it's later, but, I mean, that would be kinda cool if you found out that there was someone who came
mm.
before Cap, but
Ooh,
yeah, I
before
think it
Cap.
leads me into, like yeah, Red Skull was kind of like a super soldier version that kinda failed for the
Right.
Germans, so that'd be
Yeah.
kinda cool,
Be
but yeah.
interesting to see
Yeah, it
where
looks
they
great.
go and who it is and all that kind of stuff. But this, yeah, that game looks just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and Amy Hennig being the writer of that game, and she's, behind, Uncharted and Last of Us. I mean, initially just amazing. So that's awesome. So those are two of the games we're also getting. We know we're getting a Blade game. We know we're getting a Wonder Woman game in the superhero genre.
Right.
Um, I'm not aware of any other games. Wolverine, obviously,
Iron
that's
Man.
another one. Sorry. Yep, Iron Man, that's right. Oh my goodness. So
That's
we're
Iron
getting
Man.
some new games, which is great. I'm so glad we're getting them. We've had some great games in the past, but Mark, um, and this is probably gonna be a quick segment. Maybe it's not. I don't know,
Mhm.
depending where we go. But really quick, is there a superhero game that you want that has not been done yet, or has not been done in a while that you would love to see? And what style would you go for?
I have two. I have two in mind. Right off the bat, actually, kind of three. Because I've been getting back into Quest a little bit more, and I almost picked up the Iron Man game last week, and then I got into Prince of Persia, and I kind of I put that on to the side again. But I was thinking about virtual reality superhero games, and Iron Man seems really really cool. But I also think another couple of things could work very simply, or even like an Avengers game. But the two that stuck out to me were like a Cap game where you get to throw the shield and you can actually feel like you're throwing it and you see it in your 3D space and you catch the shield back. You could kind of do the same thing with Thor and his hammer. And then you could do another one with Hawkeye. I think that'd be really cool. So like, I'm hope I would imagine there could be more to the gameplay, but you could also just do as like a simple kind of like Mario Party, like mini game kind of thing of like throw cap shield. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. The next stage is like hit 100 targets with Hawkeye's bow. See how many things you can hit with. Like in one lineup, like
Like an
wait till all the
Avengers
bad guys line
training,
up.
like an
Avengers
Avengers
training or
training
something like that, right? Yeah.
simulator? Yeah.
Yeah. I think that'd be cool, right? Like throw Mjolnir and see how many things you can get all lined up in a row, or like learn how to curve Mjolnir when you throw it. Like, yeah, like you said, Avengers training, I think would be really cool because a lot of the complaints of VR are when there's too much motion, people get sick. When there's too much going on, they don't want to stay in that world. So I think those quick kind of collections where you can just jump in, do some target training with Cap, do shooting with Black Widow, do whatever it is. Like I think those kind of things could be really fun. You could even get the workout vibe in there with like Hulk or someone like that, with like smash the targets as they come to you. Like there's a whole bunch of like those quick little mini games, the little flavors of different motions and different actions that I think you can get in VR. That yeah, I like pick the superheroes. I'm just rhyming off like the Avengers that people are familiar with, but like, yeah, let's just like pick some superheroes and let's go for mini games. But like, I'd love to play that kind of thing, and I think the pick up and go rather than like a complex story would be the way I would prefer doing it in VR. But anyway, um, the other one I thought of, I had originally thought maybe just Iron Fist or Daredevil, but screw it, I'm going with the full Defenders team. And because I've been playing so much Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I'm going old school side scrolling beat 'em up action.
Beat 'em up.
Beat 'em
Yeah.
up 100%. Have the different styles. Have Luke Cage just be the tank that's like a little slower but stronger. Have Daredevil and Iron Fist as like your straight up brawlers. Have and like you could toss a few in there, right? Like, um, Jessica Jones could kind of be like that middle ground kind of thing. Even throw Punisher in there for some like ranged attacks or something like that. But like when he's reloading, he's a little bit more vulnerable or something. Like just like the turtles in those games, like, Donnie has more range, like some of them are faster, slower, whatever. You have that little balance. Um, I really like. I think that could just be fun, and you pick a defenders team where, yeah, they're powered, but like a little bit more muted than like a god who can light up the whole place
Yep.
on, with lightning or you know uh, electric blast powers or whatever. Like it's like I think a more grounded thing works for that beat 'em up on the ground kind of style.
Hmm.
um and I'd love to see that, going back to like that kind of arcade. We talked about the arcade of the last that was the last
Oh
episode, right?
yeah.
We talked about arcade games and
Yeah.
classics.
The arcade beat 'em
um
ups. Yeah.
Arcade beat 'em ups, I love that. And having played extensively the last week or so, a fantastic arcade beat 'em up, I'm still ready for more, and I think that'd be a great one.
Yeah, and I will build on that. We essentially have got, the updated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles brawler with Shredder's Revenge. Um, why don't we do the same thing with X-Men? X-Men 97 has been fantastic.
Yes, yes.
I want the basically a new version of the X-Men arcade game, but I want an updated roster. And then
Mm,
I want to basically then, I mean, it could be a live service game where not and not in the way that like we say like live service where it's like, you always gotta be online, but more of like they're gonna do hero packs or something like that. Like, oh,
right.
now
Yeah.
Bishop's involved, and it's like because X-Men has a billion characters. I would love that. And it's like, oh, Mr. Sinister, we're gonna take on the Sugar Man, we're gonna take on Apocalypse, we're gonna take on Strife. I mean, I love the X-Men folks. I've got a podcast, that's why I do all this, and I would love that. And just think of like how they updated the looks of Shredder's Revenge. I'm like, why isn't every hero license doing this? Because
Yeah.
or like classic license Power Rangers, why aren't they doing this stuff? It seems like a no-brainer, and it's so cool. Get some like Way Forward, get other teams to do this, and it would just be so cool. Charge $30 for it and people would love it.
Yeah.
Bring out like arcade sticks. You can say, oh, it supports your arcade sticks, so you can
Hell
feel
yeah.
like you're in the arcade again too. Like I think 8-Bit Do has one. I think there's a couple fighting sticks that are like that, and it's just the same way. It's just like you're at the arcade.
Yep.
It could work. Could
Yeah.
work.
100%. If there were a few more games that supported it, I would love to invest in an arcade stick. I'm not going to get it just for Ninja Turtles, but like if this started
Yeah.
to become a genre, 100% I'm getting an arcade stick. Like I want that feel. If they announced X-Men, like a couple more games that like I think I could really sink into that would support that, yeah, count me in. I
Um,
love it.
Next, I'm cheating, Mark, because I have two more.
I said two already.
So one is going, and these going to be DC focused because DC unfortunately has had the highs and the lows. Suicide Squad, we don't want to talk about that, but I'm going to go with one of my favorite heroes in the DC universe, Green Lantern. But I'm talking Green
Mm,
Lantern Corps. And there's such a broad range of characters, and their approach to using the Green Lantern ring and the capabilities are amazing, and I would love that. There has not been a good Green Lantern license game, and I would think that would be really cool. And I'm trying to think of, like, how would you best approach that, because they have flight abilities, they have power abilities, and I'm trying to think what would work. And I think of like a game like Anthem taking that
mm,
style,
yeah.
because essentially you could then say, okay, well, I've upgraded myself, so I have more willpower, or I've opened my mind to do more things, so it's almost like the
Mhm.
Matrix. Oh, I know kung fu. Boom.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
understand this. Or I'm like, oh, I like cartoons, so I'm gonna use like punching bags or something like that. I love anime, so I'm gonna do this. Or I like technical warfare, so I'm gonna bring in an Abrams tank. So I think there's some cool
Mhm.
things you could do, and you could make it a multiplayer game, kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy, because I think Guardians of the Galaxy did multiplayer really well,
Yeah.
where you would just ping off each other. But you could also say it's 4-player co-op, but not
Mm,
like live service. It is, and then if you had AI content, so you could choose your roster of Guardian or Green Lanterns, go off on missions, and they could adapt one of the classic stories by Jeff Johns.
Love it.
That's what I'd like. Go to different planets, kind of works. Yeah. Then lastly, I am a sucker for the Justice Society of America, which is like kind of like of the old school DC universe where you've got Sandman, you've got old school, Jay Garrick Flash with the helmet, you've got a Green Lantern who's different, you've got Starman, you've got Dr. Fate, you've got Wonder Woman, you've got a Wildcat. Stargirl, if you've not seen it yet, is one of the greatest. I love that series. It's on HBO Max now, but it started as CW. Great, very family friendly superhero show. A lot of teen drama, but I loved it. So that's what I want, and I would love to see them like have basically someone be like almost like if you think of like the Avengers game, where you would go off and you get a team, and you'd like say, okay, I'm going to be in the background. I'm going to send them off to do missions and stuff and take on classic DC villains. I want that. Now, I don't want hordes of like minions, but I would love it like almost like you've got like these are the Penguin's thugs, and they all look like the Penguin, and that's at least they're recognizable. Then you take down the Penguin, or you take down someone else. So I would think that'd be a cool thing to do as a game, but basically make one person kind of like the protagonist in the background to lead, and I think that could be a lot of fun. And you could play around with their different skill sets and things like that. I don't know if that will ever happen. I know, James Gunn has kind of stepped away from saying everything has to be connected. If a game's coming out with DC, it's got to continue. He's kind of said games don't really, because they take so long to adapt and all these things, they said are not tied to it. So I would love to see that, because I think DC needs to do something with their games. Can't just be Batman games. Cannot just be Batman games. We need Superman. We need somebody else, and it can't just be villains. Because come on, guys, let's not do that. So that's where I stand. I don't know. I could have a million other ideas, Mark. And by the way, shout out to the Captain America games you were playing on the 360.
Yes.
Great game. It was kind of like a God of War, but you shoot it's a great game. I own that on my 360. Still do.
I realized that both of mine were Marvel, so I'm going to throw out a DC one very quickly, and that is Aquaman's Wave Race.
So you can ride like the what is it,
the seahorse?
Yes, the seahorse.
And different marine things as Aquaman and his friends / enemies, very Mario Kart-esque. So you've got Black Manta and Ocean Master and Mara and Aquaman. Everyone just teaming up together. And Boba Fett, his dad, Boba Fett, Aquadad. Just everyone just teaming up and having a fun adventure racing around the seas like Aquaman. It's a Nintendo Switch exclusive Wave Race spin-off title.
Hey, you get Marvel Ultimate Alliance ride, Nintendo. Might as well go with Aquaman Wave Race Adventures.
That's it. I want that.
Mark, if you keep believing, the dreams will come true.
Insert Don't Stop Believing for 15 seconds before we get sued.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, gotta love it. There's gonna like an 80s theme. It's gonna be awesome. There we go. Well, folks, that is it for Co-op Mode this week. Hope you enjoyed the ride. Hope you had fun. But Mark, before we leave, tell people where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram and Threads and TikTok as either Canardian_Jedi or Canardian_Gamer, depending on which one you want to follow. I'm definitely more active on the Jedi one just because of the stuff that I've been doing lately, including 3D printing, Mandalorian armor and different things like that. But follow me everywhere. And of course, I'm always hanging around and creeping through the comments and stuff in our Discord channel.
Excellent. Same with me. Primarily, you find me on Threads at Teoxtra and at Secret Friends Unite on Threads. Also at Teoxtra and Secret Friends U on Twitter. If we're still there, there's still people that are there, so I keep a presence there. So, but once again, check out our Discord, check out our website, and check out patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite, and join us on this excellent adventure we go on every other week in the world of video games. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, folks. And remember, it's always better to game together.